Hey there, it's Orphe Diwangi, the co-host of the Everyday Economics podcast. Exciting news! Check out my new weekly column at thecentersquare.com. Join me as I break down complex economic trends in a way that's easy to understand for everyone. Check out the column every week and stay informed about the economic forces shaping our world. Be sure to subscribe to the Everyday Economics podcast and visit thecentersquare.com today.
Welcome to Education in Focus. I'm your host, Eliana Kernodle. Two separate Tennessee families filed a joint federal lawsuit on behalf of their children against Tennessee Governor Bill Lee and the Williamson County Board of Education related to a new state statute on mass violence. Joining me to discuss this is Chalkboard News editor Brendan Clary. Brendan, to start, can you give us the background on Tennessee's new statute, its history, what it's about?
Yes, absolutely. Unfortunately, this has sort of a dark angle to it because there was, I think a lot of us remember the Covenant school shooting in Nashville on March 27th, 2023. And following that, the state of Tennessee passed a law that created a zero tolerance policy for threats of mass violence on school property. So that was in direct reaction to this violence that was perpetrated at a school, right? So this was a reactionary sort of measure. I think that's often what we've seen in a lot of school shootings, which have become, unfortunately, more and more, rampant in recent years, it seems like. But there's a lot of calls for action, and then some measures are taken sometimes. And I mean, sometimes there's just a lot of calls for action, something will be introduced, and then there's like a lot of talking about it back and forth. But essentially, yeah, it was related to the Covenant school shooting in Nashville, and then it was implemented in July 1st of 2023.
And what is the case that this lawsuit is making?
So this lawsuit basically says, and it's as you mentioned, on behalf of families. So there's the Newcomb family and the Mathis family. They're both in Williamson County, Tennessee. And basically they're saying the zero tolerance law basically influenced the Williamson County school system to prosecute, place their students in solitary confinement, strip search them, that they were forced to undergo evaluations and placed on house arrest. And so they basically said, because of this law, which influenced the Williamson County School Board policy, their students have been irreparably harmed.
And what were the specific instances that led to these students being prosecuted?
Yeah, that's a great question. Essentially, in the lawsuit, and again, this is one side, this is the complaint, right? This is what the families are saying happened to their kids. But they essentially said things in school that were about violence. In one case, I believe with the Newcomb family, the student was talking about guns based on what another student was saying. So it's a middle school student, 7th grade year, good student who played football, but had some learning challenges, right, with ADHD and I think dyslexia. But he was talking about, I believe, an AK-47 as a grenade launchers and some shotguns. And another student was shooting over spring break or something like that. So did not talk about doing anything or shooting any of these guns himself or anything like that. But essentially, it kind of was taken out of context, or was, basically somebody heard him and it was reported to staff that he was talking about guns. And because of that, he was sent to juvenile detention. His parents were not able to talk to him for like 24 hours, was completely unavailable, essentially had to be put on probation, and sort of entered into like this, he was arrested. The Newcomb student was arrested. The other instance, it was a middle school girl, the Mathis family, and she said something in a group chat. They got reported, something offensive, something that, a middle schooler would say. I think that's kind of the complicated nature of this, is that, middle school students, even high school students, they say stuff that is not developmentally a good idea. Like if you're looking at it as an adult and you're like, I would never say that. But, you don't have maybe some of the developmental barriers, maybe I shouldn't put that in the group chat kind of thing. But now it's, in this case, it was in the Mathis student. Again, these are minors, so their full names are not used. So that's why I'm using their last name, because they're represented by their family in court. but they, had a line written, allegedly. And, there was like that this was, a part of their conversation was made public or to somebody, in the school. And that got her into expulsion from school, that got her into juvenile detention. So, and then you're in the court system, right? And you're kind of at the mercy of the court and different kinds of evaluations. And so it's just like, it's a very sort of, as depicted in the lawsuit, a very shocking response to these, sort of, inane, maybe communications that would otherwise maybe be looked over.
And where is the case at now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now there's Governor Bill Lee in Tennessee has asked for more time. And essentially, I think we'll hopefully have a response from the governor's lawyers by middle of July. So that's kind of where things are waiting right now. So we'll see what the response is. And I think that's kind of the complicated part of this is how do you balance the, trying to protect students in public schools from the threat of gun violence while also protecting the rights of students to be able to, if they say something that is not smart, like they should not go to juvenile detention. I think most people can probably see like that, something along the way here got kind of messed up. So is this law unconstitutional or does it need like fine tuning? I think that's kind of what the court is going to figure out, but we're still waiting to hear some of those arguments and it could be a long time. The courts move slow sometimes. It could be a while before we have like a decisive answer.
Well, Brendan, thank you for your insights on this story. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at chalkboardnews.com.
Hey there, it's Orphe Diwangi, the co-host of the Everyday Economics podcast. Exciting news! Check out my new weekly column at thecentersquare.com. Join me as I break down complex economic trends in a way that's easy to understand for everyone. Check out the column every week and stay informed about the economic forces shaping our world. Be sure to subscribe to the Everyday Economics podcast and visit thecentersquare.com today.